All right, let's check in with Haley Wooden with Business in Vancouver for a look at stories that she's following today. And I understand that Trump has put a new trade czar in place in the U.S., this with regards to NAFTA. What can we expect going forward?
Well, the Trump administration, now that Robert Lighthizer appointment has been confirmed by the Senate, has signaled that they're quite ready to move quickly when it comes to NAFTA negotiations. Trump himself told The Economist that this will first involve issuing a 90-day notice to Congress, letting them know that negotiations are pending, working with Congress to establish American priorities, and then sitting at the table with Canada and Mexico later this year. Now, Trump even clarified that this is not going to be a big renegotiation. It's going to be a massive one. It's very clear at this point that Trump's looking for some wins when it comes to trade, but it's also clear that massive changes could mean massive consequences. A lot of North American industries benefit from the free flow of goods that could ultimately harm the American people when it comes to taxing certain exports or disrupting that supply chain.
All right, and we have an update now on what different financial regulators are walking away from. Now, previously, they had said that they would keep the interests of the consumers in mind, but looks like there's a bit of a change there.
There is. So for the past 5 years, the Canadian Securities Administrators, the regulators in each province, have been trying to figure out a best interest standard. So this would legally compel financial advisors to put their clients' best interests first. Now, most regulators in the provinces are walking away from this, all except Ontario and New Brunswick. So it's quite nuanced here. If you're a financial advisor with an E, you're legally bound to put your client's best interests forward. If you're an advisor with an O, you don't have a fiduciary duty to do so. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't happen, but it becomes a bit of a gray area when you have, say, bonuses, incentive schemes, management fees that may pose a bit of a conflict of interest. Now, we do know that regulators in Alberta, Manitoba, as well as BC have said that they're hoping to come up with a standard that is over and above what has been negotiated for the past 5 years. But given that it took half a decade to get to where we are now, that could take some time.
All right, pretty interesting how you can have two types of advisors, though. I mean, that's going to be really confusing for people.
Of course, and I think a lot of people assume that their advisor will have their best interests at heart. It's a small difference, and it's one that's it's easy to bypass too. So it's important to look for that, and maybe even for consumers to ask their financial advisor to find out more about legally what the relationship involves.
Interesting. All right, the difference between an E and an O. Thanks very much, Haley.